Jerry beat Mad Hatter by the skin of your teeth. How you doing, Mad Hatter? How you doing, Jerry? I'm doing okay. I'm actually doing pretty good. Went to the doctor and got some decent news, so I'm glad to find out there's nothing really wrong. Rick Standen, if you ain't voiding warranties, you ain't trying hard enough. That's right, I can use this as a light. That ain't gonna work. It's finally getting milder. We had a really cold start to winter. And but now it's getting closer to what it normally should be. We're talking 45, 50 degrees during the day, right around freezing at night. That's more like what we should be getting around here. It should still be a little bit warmer during the day, but that's because they had some weird cold come through. And, the heater's doing better. I figured out that the cathedral roofs in here, you can see the roof is the same shape as the ceiling, is the same shape as the roof. So I was surprised by how much of, well, what was happening is the heat was collecting at the top of the roof, up here. The heat was collecting all up here. And what was happening is the heat collecting up top was tricking the mini splits into turning off because they were reaching temperature. So they were throttling because they thought it was warm enough, but in reality, only up there was warm enough. So I found out I have to turn on the ceiling fans. I just keep the ceiling fans on low 24/7, and that circulates the air in the room, pushing that hot air back down, and the mini splits then run longer, and it's significantly warmer. I got a universal remote to try to get the other mini split working because I lost the damn remote to it. And so far, it's not working. I have it set for Whirlpool, and it is not turning on. It's doing nothing. Fun. Nice. Oh. Emmanuel, hello, how are you doing? I don't know if you guys noticed, but I finished. Well, as long as they come on close to the same time, doesn't have to be exact. This is all finished. Can't see. So the files are uploaded. I actually did it last Friday. So all the STLs are fixed, the G codes are fixed, and the factory file is fixed. Yeah, no shit. That's what I'm starting to think. I'm thinking there's a little naked singularity somewhere hidden in this house. And when I find it, I'm gonna find all my socks. I'm gonna find all the washcloths. I'm gonna find the original set of keys to my Kia, and I'm gonna find all 3 remotes for the mini split because I bought 2 extras, so I had 3. I can't find any. Uh, but these files are all updated. I also did a 2 wide one because I actually need to have 2 wide for that little tiny wall I plan to put it on. So that is all done, all good. Because this one's only 2 wide, I have 2 spots for you to put screws in. So you could do, one here, or you could do all 4. But now it prints perfectly in Vase mode with no gaps, no issues. This prints in about 6 hours. Anywhere between 5 and 10 hours, depending on how slow you run it. But yeah, that printed absolutely perfectly. I might round off some of these edges just to get rid of the sharpness at least on the bottom. I might actually do that, but that's just fine detail stuff. That's not like super important. I also might project these tabs out back a little bit because there's trim on the wall behind this. Although this might just flex enough that that's not a problem. But yeah, I'm gonna print like 5 of these and put them along that wall where the fridge is. And go from there. And the 3 one that's updated. Add the 6-spot. The 6-spot table one is all updated. So I'm gonna call that done. The only change that I'm gonna make still is I still want to make some. That wouldn't make sense here. Since I'm the only one that can reach the top of the fridge. Yeah, it's almost like the gremlins put it back out of fear for their lives. It's like, I'm gonna eat you if I don't find those things. It's only a 1,500 square foot house. Where the hell could the stuff be hiding? It's like, where can it go? It's not like in Pennsylvania where you had 3,500 square feet to hide it. Sometimes he can reach the top if I have certain things around the fridge. Yes. The moment there is something near the fridge that would permit him to get on top of the fridge, within 30 seconds he figures that out and he's on top of the fridge. It's almost like they're constantly looking around the room and goes, "Oh, that's high enough now." When I put a box on top of the temporary, I have the portable refrigerators that I'm using for a fridge for now until I get a new fridge, and I put an appliance box on top of the one cooler, and that made it so that he could then jump on top of the fridge. Within 30 seconds, he realized he could make it on top of the fridge, and that's where he was. I don't know. I know a lot of people like the Big Tree Tech boards, but I have not personally used them. I'll just make sure whatever board you use allows real-time flashing, meaning like flashing from an SD card, so you don't have to constantly run crap on a PC if you don't want to. And also make sure there's some kind of community support behind it. So at least there's some activity in people making firmware for it. Just make sure of those 2 things. Because the last thing you want to do is buy a niche board that nobody plays with, and then, you got to figure out everything on your own. Well, I mean, if you're good at that kind of thing, okay, but most of us aren't. Most of us could use a little bit of help from other parts of the community. Hello, drone shots. No problem. So we only got 2.25 hours left. Michelle has a 2 o'clock appointment. It's her reevaluation for her physical therapy, and for whatever reason, they can only do that on Wednesdays. Whatever person in the office does that can only do it on Wednesdays. Picky with adopters? Seriously? Wow, around here they're begging people to take them. And you want, and if you can manage it, you got to make sure you can financially support it, and your place is large enough. But if you can manage it, especially if you live alone, try to get 2 cats, because you want the cats to be able to interact with each other. You know, cats are social animals in that regard. They're not loners, and they get very stressed and bored when they're alone. I mean, if you have a big family and dogs and stuff like that for them to play with, that's one thing. But the best thing we did was get 2 cats, because they lay with each other. Right now, they're both just chilling on the window perch right there. I have a perch on the window so they can lay there and look out the window. And they're just both chilling there, laying together. And they'll run around and chase each other, and they're, especially if you can get kittens from the same litter, so you know they tolerate each other. Sometimes 2 adult cats might decide they don't like each other. I'm surprised they'd be picky. That's crazy. You'd think they would be desperate for people. Although I guess it depends on where you live. There's some places where you got, absolute disgusting, you know, insectile variations of human beings, slime-based human beings who will collect cats in order to Wow. Oh, you're in the UK. Okay. I have no idea what the pet environment is there. Wow. Here, it's like the cost is free though. They're desperate for people to take them. They got you. We have entire organizations that provide basic services for kittens. So the one around here that helped us out was the Zimmerman Foundation. They provided shots, chipping, and neutering for free. So they have a donation system where they can fund this, and you call up Zimmerman, you answer a couple questions, basically they make sure low income people, and they send you a certificate, and you take that to supporting, participating veterinarian, and they do it all for free. So our cats got all their immunization shots, they got their chip in the neck, and they got spayed and neutered. Ours got neutered, of course, because that's the biggest thing. They want the cats all neutered so that they stop having the problem of rescue centers filled with cats, because cats do what cats do and they get jiggity with it. Yeah, I love cats. Cats are awesome. Happy, happy critters. Mm. Tasty, yummy critters. So we'll be finishing up at 1 o'clock today because she has that 2 o'clock appointment. So what I want to do today is I got that new water distiller. Actually, I can show you. So as you know, we can't really, well, technically we can drink the tap water here. It's safe. It's chemically safe. Um, let's see. Oh, where is it? There it is. You taught your cat to say hello? That's awesome. So something interesting. Let me switch back to this one. There we go. So I ordered this. It was an incredible deal. I like making waffles, and I eventually want to collect all the different little waffle machines they make. So every different seasons, different holidays, we can make visually relevant waffles. Pumpkin, spider, whatever. So pumpkin would be fall. The skeleton and spider, that'd be good for Halloween. And nice. So this is an incredible deal. These are usually about 12 or 13 bucks each, and this is 12 bucks for all three. I never got it. Instead, he sent me this. So I got this in the mail. I thought this was just a box being reused and my stuff was inside of it, because there's a sticker right on the side of the box that said, Dash Halloween waffle maker set. I open it up and no, it's this. Brand new, never used. This was inside. I was about to contact him and say, hey, where's my waffle kit? And then I realized this thing's worth $70. 50 to 70 bucks. And I can use this. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to keep the hot dog machine. So I got this for 12 bucks. Yeah, that's not too hard. Let's see here. So now I have a hot dog steamer. You can steam 12 hot dogs and you can stick the buns in the top, and the whole thing goes inside of itself to pack up. So it's one case that you can carry with you. And I plugged it in, tried it, it works. So that's kind of cool. So I think I'm going to keep the hot dog steamer. So I have this. I have this water distiller. This basically distills my water. So you fill this up with tap water and it distills the water into the gallon carafe. The problem is I have to pour that water into jugs. So for example, my gallon water jugs. I've got to pour it into these. Switch back. And the problem is I need to model this cap so that I can make a funnel to put on here, with a big wide mouth to make it much easier to pour the water in. It's a pain in the ass pouring the water in. You got to do it nice and slow and careful, otherwise too much flow comes out, spills over the edges, or it fills this, air gets trapped and pushes all the water out. It's a real pain in the butt. The problem is nobody seems to have ever modeled this. What they've modeled is, really? You gonna mess with me? What they've modeled is this one, the screw-on cap. Well, the problem is I don't like using milk jugs for water, because milk has lots of proteins and stuff like that in it, and distilled water is going to tend to suck up anything near it. So, you're going to be adding milk proteins to your water, and that could cause it to go bad, sour, whatever. I mean, even after washing one of these out, a week later, give it a sniff, and you can smell the sour milk. So it's probably not a good idea to use actual containers that had milk in it for water. Well, the problem is all of our water bottles that we buy here use this push-on cap. It's the one where you pull the tab off, then the tab undoes itself, and then the cap just pulls off and it just pushes on. It's a snap fit. Okay. Nobody seems to actually make a 3D model of this. So we've got to figure out how to make this. I'm also going to make it for the thread-on one, so if anybody happens to have thread-on ones, they'll be able to use that as well. And then I also eventually want to make little funnels for our the 17-ounce water bottles and stuff like that. The little 1 liter and 2 liter bottles that we use for water sometimes. Hey, Afro 3D. And so we're going to jump into Tinkercad and try to do this because I did find something useful. So let me get rid of this and bring this up. Would you please work for me? Thank you. So we have here's your standard threaded milk cap. So we're going to do that one. But I also need to do the other kind. Now, I could not find one of those caps, but I did find a receptacle for one of those caps. So this is designed to accept those caps. So a way to reuse those caps to make little containers. So I'm hoping to use this to create a negative, to create the inverse, and to make a cap top. It doesn't have to fit perfectly. It just has to fit well enough for me able to pour water into the container and to allow Michelle to, pour water into the container. So we're going to do that. But somebody asked about going from a square to a round. So let's say you have a fan. Let's see. Let's make it a little bigger. So here you have, let's see, what's the normal size? The normal size would be a 40 millimeter fan. So let's say we have a 40 millimeter circle shape and we want to mate that to, a 60 millimeter square. Let's keep it short like that just to keep it easy. So I want to mate this kind of shape to this kind of shape. And I want to create an adapter to go from one to the other. So how would I do that? There's a couple different ways to do it. The simplest is to just use a cone and then cut the sides of the cone. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's line these two up. Line up, line up. So let's say I want to go from this shape to this shape. So I want to mount this square hole to this round hole. And this is the dimension of my round hole, and this is the dimension of my square hole. So I'm going to put a plane on top, and also get your distance. Get whatever distance you want. I've never seen a cap permanently attached to the bottle. So that's either not common in the US or not common in my part of the US. Remember, the United States is as big as the entire European Union. So you got to think of our 50 states as 50 countries. But I have never seen a cap. Yeah, basically. Um, but I've never seen a disposable bottle come with an attached cap. I've never seen that. Hi, baby. Yeah, you're hungry, aren't you? Hey, Michelle, you gonna come feed these cats? Or you gonna starve them? Oh, baby, you want to torture her? She's a meanie. She's starving you. Where's my phone at? Like, what did I do with my phone? Yeah, baby, you good boy. Okay, so what I would do is I'm going to take a cone here, and I'm going to make the bottom of the cone bigger than this square. So let's make the base radius 30? No, 40. And we want to make sure, okay, it's not big enough. Let's grab all these and line them up. So you want to keep making this circle bigger until it's as big as the square. So base radius, let's go to 45. There we go. We are now bigger than the square. All right. Let's increase the height. We could actually just do this. We could increase it until it covers it up. But before we do that, let's put our cut on top here, right there. And then what we do is we keep increasing this until it just covers up the part. Just like that. Now we put a cut box like this to get rid of the excess off the top. Make sure you have all four sides. Okay, there we go. We have our tool there. I'm going to lift this up a little bit to separate it. Now, I'm going to take this and duplicate it. I'm going to hide one. I'm going to turn this into a cut tool. I'm going to put another square. Down here, overlapping slightly. So now I need to make this bigger than the purple box all around. Okay. And I need to make this shorter than the box in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to join those two boxes there, which is going to put a hole inside the red box. I now take the red box, extend it all the way up through the purple box, turn it into a cut tool, and you can see what's going to happen here. See, it's going to cut away all the chunks of the purple that are bigger than the square. And there you go. Bring back the yellow. And now, as you can see, I have an adapter. You'll have to fiddle with dimensions and stuff like that, put a lip on it, stuff like that. But you get the basic concept now. I now have an adapter that will go from this shape to this shape. Hey, DeWitt. So that works pretty good. Yeah, we're kind of banished from having eggs right now. Eggs are selling for $4 a dozen, and I refuse to pay $4 a dozen. My cap is about $3, so as long as eggs are above $3 a dozen, we just won't buy them. We'll just do without eggs. Here we go. So that's how I would make an adapter to go from one shape to another. Now you could also make this finer if you want to. There are ways you can do that. So, for example, I could take one cone. Let's make this a big cone. Let's make it bigger than that. Make a big cone. Now watch, this is kind of cool. Okay. So we're going to take this cone, we're going to duplicate it. Then we're going to raise this cone up 3 millimeters. Let's do a 2-to-1. So let's do 4 millimeters to give me a 2 millimeter wall thickness roughly. Yeah, that's good. Take this one here, make it a cut tool. And now join the two together. And now I have a hollow cone, which I can then put over top of these pieces like this. And now what I can do is I can lower this cone over top of this and start chipping away. See how it's starting to chip away at different parts of the model? I can stretch it out if I want to change how it cuts away at the model. And you could do things like this to fine-tune the shape that you want to give your final part. And just make your wall thicker to cover parts sticking out like that. Just make sure you don't chip away any of the yellow. So you have to make sure that you're above, right there, above the yellow part. And that'll help you get a finer shape, to cut away what you don't want. But the easiest way is just what I showed you right there. Square, circle, cone. Make sure the base of the cone is bigger than the square. And then stretch the top of the cone until it just covers the circle. Put a plane on top of the circle, cut the top of the cone off. Then you duplicate the square, hide the first one, make the square bigger, bring the square back, make it a hole, and then stretch it vertically. Why would you call me on the phone? Why would you call me on the phone? I'm sure I'm doing a stream. Well, you just look at the clock. All right, come feed the cat. They're hungry. Well, first, on your way out to feed the cats, bring a bag of trash. All right? Bye. He's getting pissed. You hear that, cat? He is not a happy cat. He's like, come on, I hear you in there. Come out and feed me. Now, a couple other things you might want to do is you might want to put, depends on if you're going to vase mode print this. If you make this exactly the right size, you don't need to do this. But you could also put a small cylindrical section here if you need it. So either an insert or a cover. Same thing on this end. Whatever size opening you need. But this gets you roughly what you're going to want. I'm going to put that over here in case you have any more questions about that. No problem. So, I want to make a funnel. So here's the screw-on cap. And here is this cap. So how does this work? I can't see what that's trying to show me. Let me try taking a picture and zooming in. Let's go high resolution for 48 megapixels. Let's use some light. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. I can't really see it. I think I need to use a macro shot. Let's go macro. That's going to use this camera over here. So let me clean off that lens. Cell phone lenses always get dirty. So that's what that cap looks like inside there. It looks like that. So it looks like the inside's actually smooth. So we'll leave the inside smooth. And the outside has little nubs. So we don't need to worry about the inside. Although the inside might have looks like it has a minuscule bulge to help apply pressure, if I had to guess. Now let's try to get a good shot. The outside. Yeah, you can see how the outside is also relatively smooth. Switch back. And it has little ribs. See all the little ribs around the outside? You can see 3 of them right there. So it looks like it's smooth with just little ribs. And those little ribs get pushed over this little edge here. And that's how that holds on. Try not to be too noisy, okay? Sorry, I'm just trying not to be too noisy. And it looks like the cap itself is just a lip. And it looks like it creates a seal around that part there. So that's how it creates a seal. Yeah, there is a small little dimple on the inside. Okay. You guys see what I see? Yes. So the simplest beginning would be to simply put a cylinder over top of this. That is not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Lift you up. Let's increase the number of sides. Why does it go to the opposite? Did you guys see that? I moved the mouse to the right and the freaking slider went to the left. I will never understand how that kind of crap works. Like, what programming syntax results in that? Shift so we can scale it up, and we want to cover up the entire thing. Okay. How thick is this? Looks like the inside is actually deeper than the outside. And we go 6 millimeters. So let's make it 6. And we want to go by 0.5 millimeter increments. Okay. So turn this into a cut tool and join them. Okay. That gets us pretty close. Let's bring you down to 0. Let's change your color. And let's put a cut tool in the middle here. This is arbitrary because it goes on the inside. So how big this is isn't super important. And we want to lift this up. Let's go 1 millimeter high. Increase the number of sides. Let's align this. And now I should be able to do that. Okay. So that gets us roughly the shape we want. And if we make this transparent, we can see inside here. So something I want to do is I want to bevel that, but do I need to? Or is the bevel on the bottle itself enough? Meaning, will that fit? Now, I could just use an existing cap. I could just cut the center out of that cap right there. And then I could design my cap to slide right into the hole I make by cutting out that center. And then just hot glue it together. But I'd rather print it. The question is that... I guess the only way I'm going to be able to find out is to print it. Now the good news is I should be able to design the funnel separate from the cap, so I can edit the cap if it doesn't fit right. No problem. Good luck, DeWet. And my fit doesn't have to be perfect because we're just making a funnel. So how big was that? So 28.75, which means I can punch straight through this. Like that. Okay. Now let's build a funnel. So now the trick with this is I need an aeration hole. So I'm going to show you that in a moment. But I need an aeration hole so that this can breathe. Otherwise, the water's going to fill the hole and then it's not going to go anywhere. So I should be able to actually do this exactly. So 28.75. 28.75 divided by 2 is 14.375. But actually, no, I need the hole to be 28.75. I need the funnel to be the size of the entire cap. So 34.55. 34.55 divided by 2 is 17.275. So our top radius is going to be 17.275. And our bottom radius is just going to be bigger. So that would be fine. And that would be a good height. Let's make the radius a little bit bigger just because we can. Put the plane here. Bring this up. Bring that down to 0. Really? 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 Go away. Center you there. Be a pain in the butt. Okay. Let's change that color since that's a pain in the ass, that color. And that is a more than big enough spout. Okay. Let's see here. How do I want to do this? I'll use my vase mode trick to give it some thickness. Which means I need to put a so this needs to be seriously, come on. What's that? Oh no. How do I want to put the cone shape in place? I think I just need to see, the problem is I created this shape. And I think to do what I want to do, I need to use a cone. Like an actual cone. 90 by 90. Now let's center everything. Okay. Okay, that takes care of that. I don't need that right now. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to duplicate this, change its color. I need to move this. This one's the right for the outside. So I need to hide this one. I need to bring this one back. I need to center this one again without moving this. And then what I need to do, why would you do that? Where the hell did you even come from? Ah, I hate when it does weird things. So, we need to lower this until it touches that. Turn that into a hole. Restore the other one. Seriously? Seriously, you grabbed it? No, you didn't. It's over there. Okay. I was about to get real nasty and bite it. There we go. There creates the wall for my cone. Alrighty. Now I need to chop the top off. So let's go away. Hide this. Put a work plane here. Put a cube here. Put the work plane on top of the cube. Restore the cone. And now cut the top of the cone off. We are making a funnel that will snap onto the top of these water bottles so that when I distill my own water, I can make it easier to pour the water into these things. These water bottles don't come with the threaded caps like your normal milk jug comes with. And you don't want to use milk jugs because you're going to get that milk protein in your water. So these come with the push-on, push-off caps, which nobody has modeled, so I'm trying to model it. Okay, so now I can delete this. Put the work plane back down here. And now I have a hollow funnel that fits the milk jug cap. And I think that'll work. Okay. Well, let's put the work plane back here because I can do the same thing for this one. 0. Control D. Okay. There we go. And now I just need to put a hole in the center of this. Okay. So now Should just be able to scale this up until it's the size of that opening right there. Join those two together. There we go. And that looks good. Although that might not print too well. So an easy way to fix that is to put a donut in place. We will shift that donut down like this. Sides. Let's center everything again. Center, center. Michelle, chill out. Come on. So we take this and we extend it. Come on, work with me here. There we go. We extend that into that one. Change the radius to 19.8. Let's go 19.5. That works for me. Although it is poking its ugly head in here, which we don't want. But there's a way to fix that. We take this, we decompress it. I need you to go away. No, I need to decompress you again. There it is. Okay. You need to temporarily go away. Let's increase the wall thickness just a hair. I should be able to join the orange with the pink. Let's restore the block. Let's join this with this. Why didn't that work? Join this. Oh, I did. It did work. And now if we join all three of these, we'll get our cut in the middle there. There. Now we have a threaded milk cap attached to a funnel. Now I do need to do one more thing. How do I want to do this? Let's join this one together since we're pretty close to what we want. Now I still need to create the aeration. I need to allow air to get through there. I think the easiest way to do that is to use the side here. Like that. Yep. Now we take a tube. We're going to have to rotate it 90 degrees. Put the work plane here. There we go. Sides. Come on. Come on. Just grab the goddamn thing. So let's make it, let's 8mm should be enough. That is not sitting at the right angle. Well, isn't that interesting? I thought I got the angle right. Oh, it's between 1 and 2 degrees. That's close enough. So now I bring this in here like this. Flip it over. Let's align these this way. Okay. Why doesn't that look centered? That does not look centered. Let's try a different method. Jesus Christ, stop it. Why does it do that? Why does it go left? I don't understand why the hell it does that. You're going to get bitten because I want to bite you. You exist. Okay. I might be able to just do a straight tube straight through like this. Okay, so now I should be able to rotate this way. Okay. No. All right, that's looking good. Okay. Ow. Can I make it? I'd like to fatten it up. Yeah. I like that. Let's make sure it's still centered. Okay. Don't need that. Do I have the right screen on for you guys? Yes. Okay. Get you out of the way. Bring you into the middle here. Let's put you on the end cap here. Control D. Let's change you to hollow. Let's increase the length like so. Let's hide you. Let's grab your center point and make you bigger. Yeah, it's a little harder than I thought. I think what I need to do is to shrink you. Got it. Nope. I don't got it. There it is. Now I need to make you bigger so we have some wall thickness. Now I can make you longer. Okay. Live with that. Join that together. Okay, let's put a plane here. Nope. Put a plane here. And chop off the top of this tube. Okay. That gives me that. Then... Nope. Okay. Come on, work with me here. Why are you fucking with me? Boy, sometimes just trying to grab pieces of things in Tinkercad can be such a pain in the butt. It's like, play nice or else I'll kick your butt. Wait a minute. I know what I need to do this. I don't know if I can do it. I want to try though. It's not what I want to do. What? Oh, I know. I know what I need to do. Oh, it doesn't want to play nice. God, it can be such a pain in the ass sometimes. There we go. Man, can be such a pain. Go. So, I need to chop this into 2 pieces. Okay. Control D. Now I have 2 of them. So I need to take this and this and chop it in half. So now I take that box and this piece, merge them. But I forgot to duplicate it first. Control D, merge it with this. Now we take this and we flip it this way. And we merge that one with the orange one. Come on. Figure it out. There you go. Now, here's the cool part. Now I could take this and I could rotate it 180. That didn't work as well as I thought. I thought that would have worked. Oh, it would only work if it was a 45-degree angle. See, I was going to have this line up with this. To create a spout. But that will only work. It's not going to line up perfectly, but I think I can still do it. If I create a plane here. Now I take this piece, I get it vertical. And then cut the top off. Bring it in line. You get out of the other damn part. Thank you. Okay. Now I could bring this into here like this. Not perfect. But I should be able to get pretty close. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be close. There we go. There we go. So now the air has a way to get back out of the bottle, which will let me fill the bottle up. Now I should be able to take this, Control D it, and I should be able to use it for the other one. Then bring this up to 0. Then rotate this around 180 again. Let's get them lined up this way. Then I should be able to bring you over here like that. There. Now both caps have the it needed aeration. Okay. So I should be able to join those together, and I should be able to join these together. I have these bottles. Well, let me show you. Come on. Here we go. So I have one of these. Go away. So I have one of these that allows me to distill my own water so that I don't have to go to the grocery store and buy water for 35 cents a gallon. I can now make it for 24 cents a gallon in my own home. So you put tap water in that machine, it distills the water and fills the carafe. Well, the problem is I need to reuse that carafe. So once I've made the gallon of water in the carafe, I've been putting it into gallon water jugs. Now the problem is gallon jugs come with two different kinds of caps. Your classic milk bottle has a screw-on cap. Now these are available. I can download this cap off of Thingiverse and modify it to my heart's content. The problem is you don't want to use milk jugs for water because it's not possible to get all the milk out of a milk jug. The plastic itself absorbs some of the proteins and polymers and stuff that are in the milk, and the distilled water is going to extract that material from the bottle. So if you ever rinse out a milk jug and then come back a week later and sniff it, it still smells sour because it still has a tiny residue of milk in it. Well, the problem is our water bottles, which I have like a couple dozen of, our water bottles have snap-on caps. They don't screw on. They just snap on. So I need to make a funnel top for the snap-on bottle because it's a real pain in the ass pouring the water in here. Well, it's because the plastic itself absorbs some of it. That's why plastic has an expiration date. The plastic breaks down. So I needed to model this cap so that I can make a little funnel attachment that'll just snap right onto here, and then I can just take the water and go psh, and pour it in. Instead of spending, 60 to 90 seconds going and getting it all over me because I inevitably spill it. So I want to make a big funnel to attach it. Then I'm also going to, once I have the funnel finalized, I can make it for soda bottles. I can make it for juice bottles. I can make it for water bottles. Whatever bottles I have, I just got to find a model of the cap and attach the funnel to it, and I can make it for any of them. We don't really need it for the water bottles because the water buffalo will fill the water bottles. So probably the last one I'll have to make is the one for the 5-gallon jugs, the big blue, 5-gallon water buffalo jugs. So that will be next. So anyway, we are modeling it. So here's the screw-on cap, and here is the press-on cap. Now I don't know if this is correct or not. This is a rough idea of what that cap is like. So I'm actually going to have to print like just this cap and, tweak it until I get it to fit right. But now what I'm adding is you can't just pour water into a funnel to fill a container. The water has to have somewhere to, the air inside the container has to have somewhere to go. So I have this breather tube that will be inside the container. It does not need to be that big. So you have this little breather tube that'll be inside the, it's probably bigger than it needs to be. But So as the water cascades around, the air has a way to get out. This will make it a whole lot easier, for example, for Michelle to fill up the water jugs, because she can just attach it and then pour. She doesn't have to worry about air. She doesn't have to worry about lining it up. She doesn't have to worry about any of that. All she's got to do is pour water. So I'm trying to make it nice and easy. And I mean, I could make it simpler, but you know, I only have to do the complicated crap once. So if you only have to do it once, you might as well make it nice. You know what I mean? Why not? And then Tinkercad does stuff like this. Why? Why? Like, this doesn't exist. Why is that there? That should not be there. That's something Tinkercad added. And it does that every now and then. It'll add its own artifacts. This is not part of any of my models. This is not something I miss. This is an artifact Tinkercad added. It's really annoying when it does that. Notice how this one doesn't have it? It's the same damn model. Literally, I copied it and put it over there. And Tinkercad added that. This one's probably going to be just fine. This one I'm going to have to print this section here and test fit it a couple times and, you know, tweak it until I get it to fit right. Maybe the PET, or no, this is HDP. What is this made out of? Is it HDP, I think? I forget what this is called. This is not PET. This is HDP or something like that. It's a different material. But I'm thinking that might be soft enough that as long as I get it close enough, I'll be okay. And so that's the idea. I'll be able to print them just like that. Now I should be able to vase mode print this up to here. Which means I'm going to need to add ribs. Because if I don't have ribs, then it's not going to work properly. Let's see, how would I do this? Let's pick our height first. That should do it right there. We'll vase mode until we get to that point right there. And then I'll invert this, and I will use that as a cut tool later. Okay. So the easiest way to do this, and that's annoying. If I do this, so it's 58.6 millimeters tall. Is that at the 0 point? I did not want to grab. Sometimes it can be such a pain in the ass to grab 0. Oh, it's totally off now. How did that happen? $39 millimeters Is that the same for this one? No. Well, you know something? You're going to be the same. Because I don't want to do you over again. Okay. Control D. Come on. You always miss some. Flip it. Yeah, see? Missed a little bit here, too. Always. There. Now they're the same height. Whether they want to be or not. So 39 millimeters will be my cut plane. Now the easiest way to do this, Control D. Split it. Split it. Split it. It's got to get in my way every time. There it is. Now I join that back together again. Okay. Control D. $46.6. Okay. Okay. Join those together. Center. And join all three together. Now I have my cut tool. Though, no, I don't. I gotta do something else. Okay, let's hide you. Let's split you again. Let's split you again. Come on. Let's split you one more time. There it is. So hide you. I need to delete you. Bring it all back. That should do it. I should be able to just join all this mess together. And there it is. There's my cut. That's exactly as wide as this is. Now I need to split this in half. Okay, how do I want to do this? What I need to do is I need to put a box here like this. What I need to create now is I need to create my ribbing tool to put ribs into the part. I can't scale this part because this part has an angle. And if I scale this part, this distance is going to be different than this distance. So what I have to do is I have to cut this in half and then move the parts together. And the way you do that is you take a piece like this, you Control D it, 47.2, You temporarily join the two cut pieces together. You have to make sure they're the same size. Then you align them this way. Then you split the two cut pieces apart again. Okay. So now I have 2 cut tools. What I have to do is hide this because I need to duplicate this, Control D, and change its color to a different color. Now I can take the green one and this one and join them together. Show me everything again. And now I can take this side and the beige one and join them together. PLA. Now I have the 2 halves, and it's still the exact same shape as this. What I need to do is I need to shift the part 0.8 millimeters left and 0.8 millimeters right. So I grab this piece here, I hold down the shift key, I drag it this way, and this is a relative dimension. I've moved this 7.7 millimeters from that point. So I need to move it 0.8 millimeters. Actually, let's do 7.5. I want a little bit of overlap. All right, and then I do the same thing with this one. I grab this, shift, move it that way, negative 0.75. Bingo. Now you see they overlap. So these two remain the same relative distance from each other. Now I join this together. And now I have a cut tool to put ribs into the circle here. Now what I can do is, how many do I want? How many ribs do I want? Let's do, let's see, what, 30 degrees? Let's do, no, 8. 360 divided by 8. 360 divided by 16. That would, 360 divided by 16. 22.5. So now I Control D, and I rotate 22.5, and then I hit Control D again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. That's probably too many ribs, but I'm going to leave it. This is going to get manhandled a lot, so I want this to be relatively strong. Okay, and now we need 1 rib to pass straight through the wall, but also not pass through this piece here. So what we're going to do is we're going to temporarily join these together. I want to make these a distinctly different color. Make them pink. Let's join them together. And then Control D it. I need 2 of them. And I think it's still processing. Yeah, there's done. Let's grab this and this. This one goes in here. Now, even though these are not symmetrical, their outer surfaces are symmetrical, so I should be able to simply align. Excuse me. I should be able to simply align these. Okay, there we go. Now what I need to do, I only have to remove 1. Good. Now, okay. So this one here, and this one here, and that one there cuts into the tube, which we don't want. But I do want that cut right there. And I think we do need to cut straight through this piece here. All right, now let me do the thought on this. These are ribs. And we're going to come to here. We're going to come in here. We're going to go through here. Make this rib. Come back out, around, through here. Yes, okay, that's good. I want that. So what I need to do is separate this into its individual pieces, duplicate this piece, and move it out this way, because I need to also cut through the outer wall of this one. See? So now I've joined this surface with this surface, and I've joined this surface with this surface. So that should give us all of our structural ribs, as well as, let's rejoin it with this. Turn it into Oh, I didn't join them all. This one, with this, with this, with this, with this, with this, with this. Join. Okay, we still need to join with these. What am I missing here? Oh, there it goes. Okay. Okay, we're still missing the pink one here. Got it. Join that with this. And then turn this. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to get rid of the other halves. Hang on. How do I want to do that? I could. This might work. Okay, so I just need them not to pierce this. How do I get it to not pierce that? I'm trying to think of an easy way. The easiest way is just delete these three. But I have to delete this one. Oh, that one looks like it's not puncturing. So I only have to delete these four. So I'm just going to do it. Okay. Okay, so I can delete this one. I can delete this one. Then I need to separate these two. Delete that one. And delete that one. There. It's going to leave that a little weak, though. So a better solution would be to trim these so they don't puncture this. What is the easiest way to do that? Easiest way to do that. I need this one, so I want to leave that one. I could just shorten them. That'll work. I'll have less ribbing, but it's okay. It'll still hold up fine, I think. Yeah. I don't need a charcoal filter. It's pure distilled water. It'll be fine. What I need to do is make this transparent so I can see what the hell I'm doing. So take this and this. Let's join them together so it's one piece. Yeah. Flip, please. Thank you. Right there, it cuts. Right there, it doesn't. There. Okay. Wait a minute. Oh, I can't do that. Ah. I forgot I can't do that. It changes the shape. Duh. Did I get it back? Yeah, it's all back. I have to chop the top off. I can't change the shape. There. I see the level. I see where I have to chop it. See right there where it pierces the cylinder? Okay. Tinkercad is just nice because it's visually intuitive. So all I gotta do is get close. I just want some ribbing. Okay. Now I need to make it cover up all that. There. Now I just join that with this. There. Now it no longer pierces. It only cut one. You dirtbag. There we go. There. Now it no longer messes with the cylinder. Now I can bring you back to a color. I eventually got to get myself some of that poly-light material, that expanding foam filament to make ultra-light components. I got to start playing with that stuff. See how light I can make nose cones for rockets and stuff like that. Let's see. All right, that should do it. So I should be able to just select the whole entire mess and then just unselect this. Join. Turn it into a cut tool. And there we go. That should do it. And join. FlashForge makes some good printers. They're slightly proprietary in some ways. They could be a pain in the butt to work on because you got to take them apart a lot. But they're just reliable. They're just, I mean, they're noisy as hell, but they're just good, reliable machines. You know, I have a FlashForge Guider 2, and then I also have a what looks like a clone of the Adventure 3. And my Guider 2 is the only problem I had with the Guider 2 was I jammed up some PETG in it because I kept the doors closed and the PETG softened inside the extruder, and so it just started acting like rubber. But once I realized what I did, yeah, well, because the plastic shell acts as a speaker, so those normal sounds that a printer makes are suddenly because you're inside of a big, sounding chamber that plastic enclosure makes. Oh wow! No. I love my Guider 2. It's 50 feet away. In fact, my Guider 2 right now is outside in a container. But they're good machines. Okay, that is it. That should print with Vase mode. So that'll the first 39 millimeters will print with Vase mode. Yeah, I don't doubt it. They're an older company. They're one of the older manufacturers, and they just did a good job. You can't argue with that. They did a good job. Okay, so now we need to do the same thing to this one. What I should have done was duplicate this, but whatever. So now we Control D this, slide it over. That cuts through that wall, and now we need to get rid of the overlap. So we make that transparent so that we can see the overlap. This one doesn't overlap as bad. So this is a slightly different, wait a minute. Oh, this doesn't work at all. The cone's a different shape. Okay, so we got to start from scratch on this one. I somehow made the cone a different shape. See how the parts don't line up? That means everything's probably different. Okay. It is 1213, Michelle. So select it all, unselect this, delete that. That's annoying. Those cones should have been the same shape. This hobby is amazing because the thing I love about 3D printing is it's multidisciplinary. To me, that is the most wonderful thing about 3D printing, is that you do battle bots, you can use 3D printers. You make model airplanes, you can use 3D printers. You get into electronics and enclosures, you can use 3D printing. You get into rockets, you can use 3D printing. You need stuff for around your house to organize stuff in your house, you can use 3D printing. I mean, it's a multidisciplinary hobby. It's like a general purpose tool that can be used for anything. And my favorite hobbies in the world are multidisciplinary hobbies. That's why when I make a model rocket, it usually glides, it usually has a camera, and it usually has some sort of electronics on board, like an altimeter. So now I can use my electronics hobby, my airplane hobby, my rocket hobby, my 3D printing hobby, and my photography hobby all in the same model. And that's really hard to beat. I mean, this is and of course the material selection. Um, this plastic is beautiful. This is Blood of My Enemies Red from Alien 3D. And oh man, I only got 2 rolls of this. It's gonna suck when I run out. Very cool. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is just to chop this booger in half. So let's just do that. Although that's going to make it a whole lot more complex, which we don't want to do. Protopasta makes some extremely cool filament. You're going to pay for it, but it's very cool. Oop, I got almost all of it. There it is. So I should be able to delete this. I should be able to delete this. Delete this, delete this. There we go. There's our cone. Now, first thing we want to do is we want to chop it off at 39 millimeters. We have our 39 millimeter tool right here. This one can actually go higher. But I think I'm still going to stop it at 39 millimeters. Just to keep everything the same. Alrighty, now we do the same thing we did before. We have to split this in half. So let's go 60 millimeters. Okay. Control D. Flip it this way. 60 millimeters. Now I need to move this one 0.01. 0.01. Temporarily join them together. Center the whole mess. That is not what I asked you to do. That is so not what I asked you to do. Center this way. And now cut it. Now we have our piece. Now we need to split this in half. Because if I resize it, it's going to distort it. So we need to make this bigger than this half, so that if it moves a little bit, it's no big deal. Control D, flip it this way. But I need to make this 57, this one, 57. Now they're the same size. Join these 2 pieces together. Center it. Now separate it. Hide this one. Duplicate this one. Change the color to something else. join this with this. Now bring back that other piece, join this with this. Oh, I thought I explained that. Okay, so in order to make sure this is middled correctly, because we can't use numbers exactly because this might not be an even number. I put down a box this way, and I make sure it's bigger than this box, but also an even number. So I'm going to use 57. Okay. Now I take this box, I duplicate it, and I stretch it out this way, also 57 millimeters. So now this is two 57 millimeter boxes, and each of these halves is exactly 57 millimeters. I join them together. Okay. I then take, let me do this again here. Control D, join. I then put these two together like this. Make this box bigger than this. Okay. Let me move this out of the way. So now I have this and this. Now I'm going to align these two so they're centered. There you go. Now this piece is centered in this piece. How do I find the middle? Well, remember, this is two boxes, and they're both exactly the same size. So now if I select this box and ungroup them, boom, that's the exact center of that part. Now to create the two halves, I have to duplicate it. So I have to hide this in order to gain access to the part inside. Okay. Duplicate that part, change its color. Okay. Now I'm going to join this box with this box, with the trapezoid, cut it in half. All right. Now restore the hidden box, join this box with the other half, cut it, and now you have two exactly identical parts cut in half. Now the reason you need that is that I need to translate the edge of the model. I cannot resize the edge of the model. Exactly. I'm using two equal-sized parts joined together, centered, split apart, and now I can bisect the other part in half. Now that I have these two separate parts, I need to translate them. How much do I need to translate? Well, I'm going to be using vase mode. So I need to make space for the outer wall, which is 0.4 millimeters thick, and the inner wall, which is 0.4 millimeters thick. So I need to translate 0.8 millimeters. I'm going to do 0.75 to guarantee I have a little bit of overlap, because thin wall behavior will compensate for small discrepancies. So I'm going to grab this. Now in Tinkercad, I want to translate this part left exactly 0.75 millimeters. To do that, you click the part and you hold down the shift key. If you hold the shift key, it'll only let you move on these two axes. See? I can move on X or I can move on Y, but not both. If you don't hold down shift, you can move it on both. So I need to move this on X without moving it on Y. So I select the part, hold shift, move it an arbitrary distance this way. Now you notice this number here? See how you have this control point and this line? This is saying, I got to undo that again because it only lasts for a certain amount of time. What this is saying is that I have moved this part 9.4 millimeters away from where it was before, and it's in the negative direction. So now I'm going to change that to negative 0.75. Now I've moved that part exactly negative 0.75 millimeters X that way. Now I need to do the same thing for this side. Grab it, shift key, move it an arbitrary distance, 0.75. Now the reason is that I needed to move this edge away from this edge without changing the relative distance, the relative alignment of this edge and this edge. That's why I have to bisect the part and then shift it. Because otherwise, if you try to scale the part, this dimension is going to scale differently than this dimension. Because when you scale, you're scaling by percentage. So 10% of this is smaller than 10% of this. So I have to translate the part, not scale the part. That's why we had to go through all of this bisecting it. Now I can join it together. Now I want to create an array. First, we're going to do a lighter color so it's easier to see. So let me get rid of all this extra goop that is in my way. Put you out there. Let's bring you over here. So now I need to create an array, and I've decided on 16 ribs. Yeah, this here, if you haven't, I'll show you what I do. So this here is all vase mode, except for the bottom 8.5 millimeters. The rest of this model, with all of this geometry, is all vase mode. So these two lines, this line right here and this line right here, actually bisect the model. So those lines there go straight through the entire model, which allows you to make a manifold single surface. So now this surface can connect to this surface. So it draws the outside, and when it gets to here, it moves inside, draws the inside, moves back outside, comes over here, moves inside, draws the inside, moves back outside, and draws the outside. This allows you to make complex geometry using vase mode. Why is that important? Because vase mode is virtually error-proof. Even if you have a piece of shit printer and it's horribly tuned and you don't really know what you're doing, if you can get that first layer to stick, vase mode has the highest probability of making a successful print because there are no retractions. It's one continuous extrusion from 8.5 millimeters all the way up to 198 millimeters. It's one continuous extrusion. And that continuous extrusion means the nozzle head never stops, acceleration never changes, the rate at which you're feeding, it never changes. Well, it's not the solution to everything. The model has to still follow the rules. So, for example, I can't have a piece here and a piece here separated by an air gap. You can't do that. You have to follow the rules of vase mode. But a lot more shapes become vase mode printable when you can make that work. So, for example, here we go. So here is a nose cone. Now, a nose cone this size, that's vase mode. I stopped vase mode at the top because you cannot complete the top of a dome in vase mode. Well, in theory you could if you had a big enough nozzle and a low enough layer height, you might be able to close it. I haven't done the sauce packet one yet. I just finished perfecting the dipping cup one, so now later on I'm going to work on the sauce packet. So, like, for example, here's something I did here. I added these little tubes in here without breaking vase mode. So there's a seam right here where when it draws the outside, it goes inside, draws that little circle, and then comes back outside again. That gives me an attachment point that's built into the design of the model. Now, when you get to more complex shapes or larger shapes, you run into a problem. At this scale, this is more than strong enough. Okay? There's no strength issue here. However, when you get up to this scale, this nose cone that's this big might be a little too weak in vase mode as a single wall. So you use multiple walls. This entire part, and this is actually an older one. The newer one is here somewhere. But the newer one actually has built-in launch lugs on the outside and built-in eye bolt retention on the inside. This entire piece is all vase mode. This whole entire part, from start to finish, is all vase mode, including multiple diameters, inside and outside. You can see the inside diameter there is smaller than the outside, including this bay area here for the parachute to sit, the smaller area for the motor mount tube to sit. There's going to be 2 holes in here for your launch cord to go through, launch lugs to slide it onto the launch rail. That's this thing here. So these 2 little launch lugs are actually built into the model now. And so this entire model, the whole thing, prints in vase mode, including all reinforcement structures, rigidity additions, everything. The whole thing prints in vase mode. So first of all, by having multi-wall, yeah, there you go. So you can actually see the ribs. See how there's ribs inside there? Those ribs reinforce this, making it much, much stronger without breaking vase mode. Well, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm adding ribs to this model here. So right now, if I tried to print this in vase mode, well, first of all, it won't work because this is one plane and this is another surface. You have two surfaces here. That won't work. So what I can do, though, is I can take this and I can cut through the wall like that. And that will connect this inside surface with this outside surface, which makes it vase mode compatible. Now, the problem, though, is that you still have two thin walls, and those walls are not very strong. So what I do here, I can show you on this model. You can see here, see how you got these ribs? Those are cuts. I used that shape there, this shape here, to cut ribs into this model. But that ribs, oh, I'm sorry. So I use this as a cut. So use this as a cut tool to cut a hole through this wall. That connects this surface with this surface, which makes it vase mode compatible. The problem is it won't be very strong, especially using a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, because you're going to have two thin 0.4 millimeter walls. Why did it disconnect? Oh, there it goes. Oh, weird. Chat disconnected momentarily. It means the internet glitched for a second. Any drop frames? No, that looks good. No drop frames. We're good. That's just YouTube being weird. Okay. So this will allow me to make the inside surface and the outside surface one single surface. Because now when the slicer draws this outside surface and it comes to here, it moves inside and draws this inside surface. And then it moves back outside and draws the outside surface. And then it moves inside and draws the inside surface, moves outside and draws the outside surface. But these are so close together that they fuse. The plastic expands slightly and the parts fuse. But now you have two thin walls. Now a funnel doesn't have to be strong, but you're going to be manhandling this funnel. You're going to be screwing it onto a milk bottle. You're going to be popping it onto a milk bottle. That might eventually break. So to add some rigidity, I do the same thing. I make a cut through it with a plane like this, except I don't cut all the way through it. If you look here, you'll see there's still a little gap between this slit and this outside surface. Now, 100% of that will be filled because this gap is 0.8 millimeters thick. The outside wall is 0.4 millimeters and the inside wall is 0.4 millimeters, which means they will touch. And when they touch, they fuse together. So when it draws this part, it's going to draw the outside wall, and then at one of these, which will be, let's see, which one is it? This one right here. So you can see, this one doesn't go all the way to the edge, but this one does go all the way to the edge. So it's going to draw the outside of this model, one continuous stroke, then it's going to come inside, and it's going to draw this inside wall. Then it's going to go toward the outside wall, but only enough to touch it. And then it's going to turn around and come back, and then continue drawing the inside wall. Out, in, continue, out, in, continue, out, in, continue, out, in, continue, out, in, draw here, draw this outside wall. This cut goes all the way inside, so it can now draw the inside of this wall, out, in for a structural rib, continue drawing the inside of the wall, come back outside, draw the inside of this wall, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, and then out all together, and then draw the outside again. So as you can see, I've given it the ability to complete this surface, this surface, this surface, and this surface without ever having to stop. One continuous path, which means the first 39 millimeters of this model will print in vase mode, including all these extra structures and shapes. So I can actually show you that in a slicer. So let's go screw funnel, screw funnel. Actually, that's not the screw. That is the snap funnel. God, dag nagget. Go away. Export. STL. Because I have NicoCat installed. It's my little pet cat that lives on my computer screen. See, he's sleeping right now. He just woke up. And now he's going to go running across the screen. It's NicoCat. It's from the old Windows 3.1 days. So let's open up a Simplify 3D. Let's get rid of you. Let's get rid of all of you. Let's bring up the model. Let's see, downloads. Give it a second to load the icon so it doesn't crash on me. Okay, so here's our model. I followed all the rules. There's no islands. So, for example, this part here cannot print in vase mode because it's a separate island from this part. Now, in theory, I can make this entire model print in vase mode. If I bring this in so it touches this inside surface here, and then I put a slit straight through this model all the way to the inside of this model, I can make this entire model print in vase mode. That is possible. And I might do that. Because in this case, the do this in vase mode, but without the ribs. And that'll make it more flexible, so more likely for it to snap onto the milk jug. I might actually do that. But for now, we're not going to do that. Okay. Let's see here. Turn that off. We do want to be in vase mode. We do want top and bottom layers. That all looks good. And we are going to stop printing at 39 millimeters. And then we will duplicate the process. We will switch to a normal process without vase mode. Except now we're going to start at 39 millimeters. And go until the end of the model. And no infill. I don't want to use any infill because I want this to be flexible. Okay. So that should slice properly. Yep, looks good to me. I don't see any errors. Errors would be it jumps. You'll see it jump from point to point, which here it should do because this is not vase mode anymore. But I don't see any jump points inside the model, which is what I want. Okay, so now let me show you how that works. So here's the first layer, and you can actually see how it works. So it draws the outside all the way around. And when it gets to here, it's going to... Wait a minute. Am I right here? Yes. So it starts here, draws the outside of the model. And when it gets to here, you'll see here, that one passes all the way through. See? But you notice these... There we go. You notice these do not pass through. This is a rib. It comes out, touches the outside, and then goes back again. So I'm not breaking vase mode. This one here, however, passes all the way through. I keep forgetting the Tinkercad mouse commands are different than the Simplify mouse commands. Same thing here. So after it comes around here and draws this shape, it comes inside. That's why it passes all the way through to link this surface with this surface. Goes all the way around here, creates a rib, goes all the way around, back to the outside. Now it continues drawing the inside of this surface. Oh, God, I hate that so much. In Simplify 3D, the right mouse button is what you use to drag, to frame grab, to frame drag around. While in Tinkercad, the middle button is what you use to grab and drag around. The problem is if you hit the middle button in Simplify, it resets your view. So I have to remember to switch which key. I wish I could change the keys that Simplify uses so that I can make it the same as the keys that Tinkercad uses. And it comes around, rib, 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 draws all the ribs. What those ribs are doing is adding structural integrity. So those ribs are taking what should be a flimsy, floppy model and making it a very strong, rigid model. So this model is very, very strong and structurally sound because it has all of these ribs that don't pass through the model but make the model structurally sound. The problem, if you don't have ribs, this is an older version of my thing, and you'll see the problem I ran into, is that larger areas like this, they tend to start moving around. You see how that's not straight, how it's wavy? So what I did was I added a single rib right there, and that single rib stiffened that up. Round shapes don't have a problem. They don't need as many ribs because the round shape adds its own integrity. But flat surfaces like this, you can see, they get all kinds of wavy. And they start doing weird things. See how it's all wavy like? How it's not flat? So I just added a single rib right there like that to strengthen that up and stiffen it up. The circle part didn't need it, but the flat parts need it. And you can see that in this model here. See how it's all wavy? Not flat and smooth. Now that doesn't functionally, that doesn't matter. This is totally usable, but aesthetically that's ugly when you don't have that reinforcement. So you end up with a much more floppy model. That's not as nice. Oh, can you? Come on. You have to mess with me. Gosh dang nagget. Always messing with me. I didn't know I could do that. I'm gonna have to look into how to do that. So the difference is you go from a floppy model like that to a beautiful, crisp, nice straight model like this. And all of those ribs added maybe 15 or 20 minutes in total to an 8-hour print. So you're not adding a lot of time, and you gain the structural integrity of having a nice strong model while being very light. This is like 80 grams or 90 grams. You're making something that's actually quite substantial while using very little plastic. And of course, because it's vase mode, it's perfect. There isn't a single flaw anywhere on the model. Because where do flaws occur? Flaws occur when you move the nozzle head or when you have a retraction. Whenever you have a retraction, that's where you're going to have a flaw, if you're going to have any flaws at all. So vase mode is very error resistant, and it's also very novice friendly. As long as the person who designed the part did it well, it's very, very novice friendly. And so now what's going to happen, now I'm going to have to add another process in here to help it when it gets up to here. So you see that whole thing, all that prints in vase mode. So I'm going to have to add some, that might print okay. I might let it try. But like these inside surfaces, there's nothing for them to attach to. So you see it's going from a single wall to 3 walls. Well, that's not going to work because there's nothing under the 3 walls to support it. There's just nothing there. Oh, I always do that. So this whole thing prints in vase mode, all vase mode, all the way up until it gets to here. And then this part here is going to print in regular mode. The problem you have is transitioning. When you transition from here to here, this is going to fail. This can't work because you're printing these inside perimeters in thin air. You're printing them on top of nothing. Okay, so what we need to do is to create a we need to create transition layers. So I need to split this layer a little bit more. So tools, variable, settings. So it's 39 millimeters tall, and I want to use 3 layers for transition. So if I want to use 3 layers for transition, that means I need 0.6 millimeters. So let's see here. 0.6 millimeters would be 38.4. 38.4. Add location, split the process. Then I'm going to take this process, because Simplify 3D tries to simplify things, it does things you don't want it to do. So I'm going to tell it to switch to single perimeter, 3 top and bottom layers, no vase mode, but I'm going to tell it to include a solid diaphragm every 1 layer. That's going to make those 3 layers solid. And now you're going to get something that looks like this. So now when it does this, it's bridging from perimeter to perimeter, which will work just fine. And I'm giving it 3 perimeters to build up those solid layers there. And now it does the 3 perimeters. It's sitting on top of something that could actually hold it up. And now those 2 parts will work. If you didn't do that, those 2 sections would probably just break apart. The first time you put that funnel on here and twisted it just a little bit, heck, even just pushing it on might be enough for that to just break away and break free. Now it's going to be nice and solid. Now the only other issue is I have an overhang here. That overhang might be okay. It's going to be fugly, but it might that might pull through. Yeah, that might be okay. I might be able to get away with that. Technically, that's a failure because I'm printing in midair. But 3D printing is weird like that. You can do things that normally wouldn't work, and I think I might be able to pull that off. That might be okay. The correct solution is to put a bevel there. So that basically it's doing this. And what you want is a bevel to transition from this to this. You want a little bevel there to make that transition between the 2 different sides. Otherwise, you'd have to put support in there. But yeah, good luck getting support out of that gap. But that might work. That might actually work. Because you're going to have little bits stick out. And that's going to help support the next layer and the next layer. And that might actually give me what I call 3D printing fuzzy logic. That's going to make that section of the model squishy. Because it's not going to be entirely complete. And that squishiness might be enough to make this connection work. So that might work, maybe. We're going to have to try it and see what happens. But you see, this will only take 90 minutes to print, and it's going to use 14 grams of plastic. Not bad for what's actually a pretty complicated shape. So I could probably get it down to an hour. I could probably print this in an hour, and it'll only take 14 grams of plastic. So pretty hard to argue with that. Now let's go back. We are still in that view. Yes. Let's finish the other one. So that one's done. We still need to do this one. So I take this piece here, and now the trick is there are certain things that you do that once you do them, you can't move the parts. Because if you make the parts non-symmetrical, then you can't center them. So when you're creating these ribs to put inside the funnel, you have to make sure you have an even number of ribs. If you have an odd number of ribs, then the center point, the XY two-dimensional center point of the two models won't line up. So to show you what I mean by that, I showed you guys this before, but we'll show it again. Let's say I'm going to build a rocket. Okay? Now, I want to center this fin unit on this rocket. Okay? Let's actually bevel. So it's kind of like a rocket. There we go. So here we go. Here's my body tube, and here's my rocket. I want to center this fin unit on this rocket. Well, that's easy. I select both parts. I select my center tool, and I say center that way, center that way. There you go. Now those fins are centered, right? Now what if I want 4 fins? Okay, Control D. Rotate 90 degrees. There you go. Now I have a 4-fin rocket. So again, I can take this, and I can do a center command. See? They're already centered. No, I didn't do threads. This is a part I grabbed off of Thingiverse. There was existing models for these screw-on milk jug caps, but there was no existing model for. Come on. There was no existing model for the snap-on cap, but I did find somebody who made the male portion of the snap-on cap. They made a little pill container that you could reuse these existing caps to complete the pill container, and so I used that to make a negative mold in Tinkercad. And fingers crossed it works. Now, so this works for making 4 fins. Let me copy this since I'm going to need that later. So what if I want to make 3 fins? If I want to make 3 fins, I can still do that. So let's say I want to go, I think I need to go 30. Yeah. Control D. And then do this 30. That doesn't look right. What am I doing wrong? Oh, okay. I know I did wrong. There we go. So here's 6 fins. No problem, right? Now, what if I want to do 3 fins? Well, I make my 6 fins. Okay. I just start deleting half. So let's keep this one, this one. That means we're going to get rid of this half, and this half. Okay, so now we have a 3-fin rocket. But you have a problem. You can't center these. Let me show you what happens. So now I have my 3-fin unit here, and I have my body tube. If I try to center these parts, they're not going to center. See? It does that. So why did it do that? Well, it did that because it's creating the center point of this XY plane. So half of 66.38, half of 76.65, which is going to be right about there. You can actually see it. You see? It thinks that's the center line right there. Well, of a 2-dimensional plane, that is the center of that 2-dimensional plane. The problem is I need to center this radially. I need to center this on a radial array. So the only way, there's two ways you can do that. Once you have them centered, and the way I did that was I created 6 sets of fins. 6 sets of fins have an XY plane that's symmetrical. So it's going to have a common center point to a cylinder, because this is not centerable because the X and Y dimension of this combined outline is non-symmetrical, 66 by 76. However, if I have 6 fins, like this, and I join those 6 fins together, those 6 fins form a plane that's symmetrical. Oh, actually, it's not. Well, isn't that weird? Well, actually, that does make sense now. So that's not... Okay. So I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but the result is the same. You need an even number of fins. You can't have an odd number of fins. An odd number of fins is not going to have a common center point to a cylinder. An even number of fins will have a common center point to a cylinder. So if I were to move these, I can recenter them just by doing that. And now they're centered again. So a trick to allow you to do this is to create a little cylinder, just something skinny and small. So let's do a little cylinder here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this cylinder below the model, out of the way. And I'm going to center it on the model. Just like that. So now that cylinder is centered. Now I'm going to split apart my fins. And I'm going to get rid of the excess. So I'm going to get rid of these 2 green fins. Get rid of that one. That is not what I wanted to do. I want to delete that fin. And get rid of that one. Now I take those 3 fins. 1. Hold down the shift key. Select all 3 fins. Join them together. And then I'm going to select that my little sacrificial cylinder down here. And I'm going to join it to that too. Now, that cylinder will always stay in the center point of the fins. So if I move this, see the cylinder goes with it? Okay? Now, you still can't center these. If you tried to center these, you're still going to get this. Hey, Sarah, what's up? Probably a 3X. Yeah, he's a little fatty. Yeah, actually, that's probably a good idea to get him something he can wear. This is pretty easy to, be on the mark there. Yeah. All right. Bye. So how do you center this again? Well, that's actually pretty easy. What we're going to do is we're not going to move the fins. We're going to move the body tube. So we're going to select the fins and we're going to decouple them. So now this cylinder is now separate. Now, it's very important at this point. You cannot move the cylinder or the fins. If you move the cylinder or the fins, you're going to break this. So we select this again. We're going to do the align tool, except now we're going to tell it we're going to move everything relative we need to move this cylinder relative to this cylinder without moving this cylinder. So we select this cylinder, hold down the shift, select this cylinder. All right. Now we go to the align tool. There's a little trick in Tinkercad. if you hold down the shift key and pick one of the parts, right now it's going to move both of these parts relative to each other. So if I want to center this part on this part, it's going to move this part closer to this part and this part closer to this part until they're in the center. But if I know this part's in the right spot, I want to anchor this part and not move this part and make this part do all the movement to this part. So you hold down shift and you select your anchor. Now everything is going to move relative to this part. So now only the cylinder moves relative to this part. Now they're centered again. Now I can take my fin unit and rejoin it with my little extra tube there so that I don't lose that virtual center point. Now, when you're finally finished this model and you're ready to, you're done, it's all done, you don't have to do anything else to it, you need to delete this. So what we would do at that point is select this, decouple, get rid of our, I wouldn't get rid of it, I would just leave it there. And now I'm going to select everything except that cylinder and join it together. And so now I have a model that is separate from those little tubes there. Now I can export this model to my slicer or whatever I'm going to do with it. And then I can come back in here and undo, and get back to where I was. There we go. Now my anchor is attached to my fins again, so that if I ever accidentally, move something, I can put it back. I have this common center point to use to move the parts back together again. So that comes into play when we're doing this. I'll show you. So first thing, we're going to create our array. So I'm going to Control D, which is going to duplicate the part in place. I'm then going to move it, I believe it's 22.5 degrees. Now, that was one command I gave. I moved the part in one single command. If I hit Control D again, it will repeat that one command for each duplication. So if I hit Control D again, it's going to move it, the duplicate 22.5, and Control D again, and Control D again, and again, and again, and again. There you go. I just created my entire array. And because this part's symmetrical and this part's symmetrical, I can join these together. So let's turn this into a solid, join it. And now I can join this part with this part. But first I have to center them. Center, center. And now if I make this hollow, you'll see that our little veins here will cut into the model. But we need to make a few changes. So first things first, we need one of these veins to pierce the outside wall. So the way we're going to do that is I'm going to decouple these. Now that these are decoupled, it's important not to move them. So now I have just this vein. I'm going to Control D it. I'm going to hold down the Shift. I'm going to slide it sideways. So now it pierces the side of the model. But you can't center this anymore because this is no longer symmetrical. So it's important not to move these pieces. This I do want pierced, so I'm going to leave that there. But I don't want these pieces piercing the I don't want them piercing the model. So I'm going to separate them. I'm going to separate that one. Okay. I'm going to take this one and this one, and I'm going to join them together to make it easier to manipulate. So I need to get rid of from here up, so it's not, chopping up my breather tube in there. So by having this hollow, by having this a cut tool, I can see where they intersect. And this doesn't have to be precise. It only has to be approximate. So I'm going to drop a box in here and just bring it up until it's just below where those parts join together. Again, this doesn't have to be precise. I just don't want it bisecting that tube. Make sure it covers the entire area of the green veins. The box is already selected. Select the green veins, merge. That will cut them. See, now they don't bisect the tube anymore. But I still have my ribs here, giving me structural integrity. This little bit of unsupported area will be fine, as we saw. Oh, no. Round shapes don't have a problem too much with a lack of structure. So I still want that structure there for strength, but we're fine now. Now I take all of these parts, I select them all, then I hold down the shift key and I deselect the big part on the outside. I join what's left together into a single part. Wait until it finishes process. Turn it into a hole. Turn this back into a solid. So now I have my cut tool that's going to allow the first 39 millimeters of this model to print in vase mode. All I have to do now is join them. There you go. Now the first 39 millimeters will print in vase mode. And because I made sure to make that cut point 39 millimeters tall, I can use the exact same factory file to process this. So we're going to change this to screw funnel. We're going to export this. There we go. And now we're in here. So that one, I'm gonna give that a gamble and try it. So we're going to call this snap funnel G code. I can now remove this and put the new screw funnel in place. I can use the exact same 3D processes to print this file. And there you go. This might need some infill. Yeah. I could probably get away without infill, but I'm going to add it anyway. Let's do infill. We're going to do grid. 15% is probably enough. Just because there's an air gap there. Most of it's thin wall, so it's not going to have any infill anyway. But now at least, there we go. We have a little bit of infill to make sure when it does that, it has something to sit on top of. And there you go. That takes a little bit longer, hour and 45 minutes, and 17 grams of plastic. So that one will have a threaded cap for gallon jugs that have a threaded cap. Then the other one will be for gallon jugs with a snap cap that just snaps in place. But that should do it. I'm not going to put these on Thingiverse yet until I verify these actually work. This one should work since it's an existing model that is already known to work. Although I do have to change the flow rate to be 0.95 for that section of the model. Otherwise, it'll over extrude. All right. I am satisfied with that. Cat, what are you doing? He's digging in something. Ender. I'm going to beat him in the head with one of these bottles. I'm going to get him. He better hide. Little bastard, I'm going to get him. Right now I'm using the CR6SE, an Ender 2, the WeDo 334, and that's it. Those are the only ones I'm using right now. Okay. I'm satisfied with that. Save it. This is screw funnel. Okay. Now let's save the factory file. We're going to call it gallon jug funnel. I just had my other CR6SE fail on me. I'm pretty sure the feeder failed. It doesn't reliably grab the filament and feed it consistently. So sometimes it's like it stops extruding, and so you end up with gaps in the model. And I suspect the plastic for the feeder unit cracked, and so now the gears aren't tensioning properly to hold the filament properly. I suspect that's exactly what's going on inside there, so I'm going to have to replace the feeder. I haven't taken it apart yet because it's a pain in the ass to take them apart. Cool. So now I can print both of these. I didn't bring the memory card out. No, I didn't. I'll have to go get the card for the printer. Actually, I have. And here's another one that I did. That I converted. I converted a box a guy made into vase mode. So now, the little lid attaches. The bottom is regular print and the top is regular print, but everything in between is phase mode. You can see here's the ribs to strengthen the model to keep it straight. And the result is we knock 6 hours off the print time. 6 hours. Let's see. Oh, I can't do that yet. I would have to disconnect the microphone. Oh shit, we gotta go, Michelle. All right, it's 1:10. She has a 2 o'clock appointment, so we're gonna scatter. Well, that's the whole point. Is I want to make it efficient. Why waste plastic if you don't have to? There's an elegance to being efficient, and it's also fun. It's like a mental challenge, and it's also more user friendly for beginners, because a beginner is far less likely to have a failed print if most of it's in vase mode, just because it's a continuous extrusion. So even if you have a dodgy printer that's not quite configured correctly, well, you get a timeout. I don't tolerate that, welfare god. So that's a 300-second timeout for you. Which probably means the rest of the stream, because I don't think I'm gonna be on 5 more minutes. But yeah, I like vase mode. Vase mode is just very, very handy. Like, I converted. Do you guys get that guy Unnecessary Inventions? He makes the weird things that he makes. Well, I converted his entire taco recycler into vase mode. Now, this does require a fat nozzle. I would have to completely remodel this to work with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. So I was able to use single wall because I'm printing at 1.4 millimeter extrusion. When you're printing at a 1.4 millimeter extrusion, you don't have to add a whole bunch of ribs and stuff like that for strength. So not only did I make the whole thing printable in vase mode, but it's now 2 pieces instead of 3. So you just print this part like that, and you print this part like that, and that's it. So the result is you only have to print 2 pieces, uses less plastic, prints substantially faster, and you just take this vase mode printed part and this vase mode printed part, and they just snap together like that. And now you have a taco recycler that prints super, super fast. And I think this is ASA. Yeah, I think this is ASA. So this can handle being in your car. How much filament does it take? 200 grams, maybe? I want to guess 200 grams. I'd have to bring it up in the slicer again, but I'm going to guess 200 grams, roughly. This actually uses more plastic than this, because there's just a lot more to this. But yeah, very It's vase mode, so it's not going to fail. It's a 1.4 millimeter extrusion, so that sucker's going to stick to anything. You could do an open air print because, again, it's vase mode with a 1.4 millimeter extrusion. It's gonna stick together as long as you don't go too fast. And but the tricky part was this part here, so that it would join to this part here, and that ended up being pretty easy to do. So that whole thing prints in vase mode. Everything from start to finish prints in vase mode. That prints in vase mode, stuck down like that, and then you just pop them together. I had that is up on my Thingiverse. If you go to my Thingiverse, you can download the G code for this. Now again, it's designed to print with a 1 millimeter or larger nozzle. So if you have a 1 millimeter nozzle, tell it to go make your flow rate 1.2, and that'll give you 20% more plastic, which will get you to the 1.2 millimeters this was designed to print at. And then just keep your layer height at 0.2 or 0.24. I think with the 1 millimeter nozzle, I think I printed this at 0.4. I think I printed this at a 0.4 millimeter layer height, which made it a very strong, very fast print. It had no problem printing this overhang, again, because the nozzle width was so fat. Enough of the previous layers underneath the new layer that it had no problem with stair stepping. I printed this at either 25 or 30 millimeters per second, and at 255 degrees Celsius with 25% fan. So this was printed at a 1.4 millimeter extrusion, although 1.2 will work fine. At 255 Celsius. And, remember, this is a fast print. Very, very fast print. You're not printing with linear speed because you're only going 25 millimeters per second. Actually, it might be quite a bit slower than that. I think it was 30 millimeters per second, but single outline underspeed to 80%. So 80% of 30. So yeah, about 25 millimeters per second. You are compensating for a slower linear speed with a higher volumetric speed because you're extruding, 4 times the amount of plastic per revolution as the 0.4 millimeter nozzle. So you might be able to go 100 millimeters per second with your X1 carbon, but I'm still going to print faster at 30 millimeters per second because you're going to have to make 4 or 5 revolutions each time that I make 1 revolution. So I am effectively moving at 120 to 150 millimeters per second equivalent volumetric speed. So your 0.4 millimeter printer would have to be printing at 150 millimeters per second to equal the same flow rate as this model at 30 millimeters per second. And that was with a CHT nozzle. That was with the E3D CHT licensed nozzle. So yeah, you're basically making up for lack of speed with flow, with volume. And what's this? Knitted stocking. Oh my god, that is cool. No, I'm not disabling the ad blocker. I noticed Thingiverse did something to break my download all button. So I'm hoping whoever wrote that can fix it. Oh, I definitely want to print that. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I could print that big with a fat nozzle too. That is cool. That's a cool model.
Get back.
You can't do that vase mode. You can't have islands with vase mode. So the only way to make that vase mode would be to fill in all those holes with slivers of plastic. So it would no longer be that nice model anymore. Ooh, look at this one too.
Chris, I'm heading out.
Okay. That's cool too.
Okay.
So I'm going to grab that one too. Pop garland. Oh. Now this I could do in vase mode. That is beautiful. See, I love simple models that do cool things. This I can do in vase mode. Although, what would be better? This would be something that would be cool to print on a belt printer, like the CR30. But you could also use knockoff commands in replicated G code. If you print this in vase mode with no... Oh, I'm not showing you my screen? Oh, Jesus. This would be... if you print this in vase mode with no skirt or brim, then in theory you could make this so that you can print one, knock it off, print another one, knock it off, print another one, knock it off, and just program your printer to just go and go and go and go. I wish somebody would make a command in a slicer to do that, where I can, hit a button in the slicer to generate the appropriate code and tell it how many times I want it to do it. Especially if you use something like PEI, where this will pop off pretty easily. Interesting. I want to try that. Wow, this guy's got a lot of cool models. Very, very cool. This in theory you could do in vase mode. Theoretically, this should be vase mode compatible. Especially with a fatter nozzle. The fatter your nozzle, the more compatible it is. See, I did one of these wicker style baskets. I forget who made it a couple years ago. I did it in that marigold lime green that Protopasta has, and I did it with the 1.2 millimeter nozzle, and it came out absolutely amazing. I still have it here somewhere. It's one of my favorite prints. But similar to this. I'm going to grab those too. See, the problem is I like to download all because it creates a zip file, which has a text file, which takes me back to this page, which means I can make sure I credit the modeler who made the file. But now that they're forcing me to download individual files, I can't do that anymore. So good job, Thingiverse. Good job. Just to try to force people to show ads. Maybe the ads are less intrusive and I can allow them. They had pretty intrusive ads at one point. But if the ads are less intrusive, then I don't mind them. All right, that's it. I'm going to get out of here. So I will see you guys later. I'm going to try printing out these milk jug spouts and see how that works out. And maybe I will remodel this to print with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. It should be doable. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to do. Just got to create a bunch of ribs. And just a bunch of random ribs in the model to make it stiffer. Yeah, the Tea Light Christmas tree. Yeah, I set him to follow because I'm definitely going to do more of his stuff. So, that's it. I will see you guys next week. These models are all updated. Link in the description to the Thingiverse. If you like the stuff that I do, Patreon and PayPal links down below. Everything is appreciated. Oh, wow, this is breaking. Oh, wow, this is separating. That should not be doing that. I might have to look into fixing that. I need to put some top layers there because it's separating here. It's squishy, which means it didn't properly affix to the previous layer. Yeah, that's breaking free. I don't like that. The outside's good, but the inside is... I'll have to make sure I have a solid layer there, something for it to attach to. Chat and stream the print when you get back. What do you mean? mean, do a live stream of the print going? Those aren't usually very popular. But right now we got to leave. I got to go take her to her appointment. That's it. When I confirm that these fit the milk jugs properly, I will I'll post the files to Thingiverse so everybody can have them and go from there. So I'll see you guys later. Thank you very much for joining in. That would be here.